Hello everyone, very good afternoon and welcome back once again to your favorite channel. Obviously, it's the Study IQ IAS English and I'm your educator Praveen Mishra. So this is the session today. We have experienced the UPSC mains paper starting with essay, right? That is 2025. And we have already discussed that how this essay paper has been, kind of a good thing with us as, not that tough, not that easy, kind of a moderate thing. Okay, it has been just going ahead with the tradition of asking all the questions related to the philosophical aspect of our life, right? So, we have to provide you the detailed analysis. We have to provide you the detailed answer. We have to provide you the most wonderful analysis. And for that, we needed the most wonderful brain when it comes to essay as well as ethics, because it is, the philosophical paper. So obviously, ethics angle must never be missed here, right? So for that, I have got one particular person with us who has got the, benchmark achievement to score highest ever marks in the history of UPSC. Well, let me just repeat it. Who has got highest ever marks when it comes to the papers of essay and ethics in the history of UPSC. So it's none other than our beloved Karan Jindal sir. So sir, please, it's an honor to have you here once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So, sir, our students are waiting for your detailed analysis. So, I believe you will be taking the section A, topic number 1,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
topic 4, I guess, right?
Yeah. Topic
Yeah.
4.
Okay.
And one of the topics from the section B.
One of the topics from section B. Okay, so guys, remember, sir is going to start with the first topic, that is truth has no color, and then I will be joining back here with sir with the rest of the topics, and then we have got with us Soumya Pandey ma'am, who will be taking care of the second and third topic from section B. So over to you, Soumya ma'am. Can you please introduce?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to StudyIQ English. So, as Sir mentioned, today was the UPSC CSE mains paper, a paper that is, in the last few years, characterized by tons of philosophy topics. So, it's a great delight to meet everyone. And once we begin our invaluable discussion, I shall be joining and giving my inputs for the section B, two important essay papers for the day, both philosophical, and let's try to curate a beautiful, emotional, yet UPSC relevant essay on that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So over to you, Karan, sir.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, guys, we'll meet up quite soon, and it's over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, the day has arrived. The students who cleared the prelims have started with the UPSC mains paper, and I would say this is just a starter because it should be like that. And will we see about the essay paper? I have practiced essays and UPSC means so many times that it appears like very natural to me to go through these kind of discussions and detailed analysis. And here I would say, firstly, I would give you very basic framework how to go about the essay paper. Then we'll go into the topic, right? So whenever you encounter essay for UPSC means, you see you have total of 180 minutes. You have total of 3 hours to complete two essays, one from section A and one from section B, right? And you have to do that. And regarding that, the UPSC has given you enormous space that you can express yourself out. But mind you, you have to keep yourself limited to one essay, means it should not be more than 1.5 hours, because we have to complete two essays. If you exceed your limit for one essay, naturally the other essay would be compromised. And I can say you, after writing more than 50 essays and even exceeding at so many of them. Okay. So 180 minutes, and if I would divide it by two, I would have 90 minutes for each essay, right? So you might be surprised here to know that for 90 minutes you are not writing. You are writing for a max of 65 to 70 minutes. Yes, that is the golden rule, because I have obtained more than 145, 138 marks in UPSC essay as well. So I know what is the nitty gritty, how they think about, how the checkers have adopted their perspective regarding to that. Okay. So you are writing your essay for a max of 65 to 70 minutes, not more than that. And why so? Let me tell you that. When you encounter an essay, for example, in section A, your first topic is truth. Truth knows no color. Wow. Wow. What a topic. It has no color. It knows no color. So truth is transparent, it is clear, it is not multicolor, it doesn't change its color when we transcend across the space or even the time. Fine. So whenever we encounter any topic, we have to firstly brainstorm. You have to brainstorm yourself. If you do not give yourself time for 15 to 20 minutes to brainstorm the topic, you will falter for sure. I'm telling you, I'm speaking it out openly, loudly to everyone out of plethora of experience. It has been 7 years. I have been guiding students for writing essay, for writing GS2, GS4, these subjects. But let me tell you, you have to spend this much of time from brainstorming. If you do not do it, I'm telling you, you will falter here. Yeah, you will falter here. So 15 to 20 minutes you have to brainstorm. In that time, firstly, you choose the essay from your section. You have 4 topics in the section. You choose one of them. Which one I'll take, right? And when I come to this topic, like truth knows no color, so you have to brainstorm like what I should be writing about here. Truth knows no color. Okay, I understand that truth is very clear. It is very transparent. It's very crystal. So what do I do next up? What do you do for your brainstorming? If you are choosing this topic for your brainstorming, what you have to do is you have to scroll through your GS syllabus. This is a mantra which I'm giving you for your all-time solution. All-time solution. Just go through and scroll through your GS syllabus. Right from GS1 towards GS4. You have to get this statement pass through all the subjects which you study in GS. That is the basic mantra. That is what every person who gets one of the highest marks in the essay paper does that during the practice. For example, when I go through GS1, if I look upon history, I have to get something out which helps me to understand the topic. Truth knows no color. And that is what we understood when we called for Quit India movement. So there is no call for dominion. There is no call for like Poon Swaraj. Now we will have all out. Just Britishers go out from here. Truth knows no color. Enough of your policies, enough of your dacoits, enough of your false promises. Now we want full independence, no dominion status. And that is what we transfer to them, that we want India, we want a constitution, and we want a constituent assembly. That is what we told them, right? And when I go through GS2, so if I go through a topic like truth knows no color, truth knows no color. So when I go through GS2, I impinge upon polity. So polity, if I see that my constitution has multiple interpretations. It has so many interpretations that even after Supreme Court judgments from year to year, the interpretation changes, the truth changes its form. But ultimately, it will be crystal clear at the end of it. For example, the recent, if you see, R.N. Ravi case judgment, that is the Tamil Nadu famous governor, because across all these years, or for these 75 years, whenever one governor was having a problem with the CM or the COM, that is the Council of Ministers, what used to come up? Some High Court would used to say, sir, okay, you have to do this as per your Article 163, you have to do that as per your Article 163. But this time, in 2025, April 2025, Supreme Court said enough is enough. Now governor has to abide by, the majority has to abide by the parliamentary system. You have to listen to CM, you have to listen to COM. You cannot go here or there that I have my discretionary power. You are not an elected personality. So truth knows no color. Enough of your multicolors, enough of the interpretations. Now it comes down to the wire that yes, you have to listen to it. And from that, they also even enrolled president as well, right? So when I go through this, and one more very good example which I have, which you can use to understand this topic, is from IR. Because you come across so much information, you come across so much news related to international relations. See, for example, I'm talking about truth knows no color. If I see that India's foreign policy first was we are going for appeasement. We are appeasing Pakistan. We are appeasing our neighbors. That yes, we'll do that. We'll do those. But what we said when we carried out Operation Sindoor, what we said, when we carried out Operation Sindoor, we said that water and blood will not flow together. will not flow together. Water and blood will not flow together at all, because that is the crystal clear truth we are talking about. That is the truth we have with us when it comes to engagement with Pakistan. So when I am browsing across this GS syllabus, I'm getting ideas. My mind, my brain is thinking upon ideas that how I can plan my essay, how I can go about this. That is exactly what you are required to do in those 180 minutes inside the exam hall. And especially this brainstorming part should be there at the starting of the essay for those 15 to 20 minutes for each essay. Mind you, for each essay, you need to do this. Truth knows no color. Truth knows no color. Right? So our blood and water will not flow together. And that is the truth. That is exactly the truth which is existing and which has been existing between India and Pakistan. And that is what has been conveyed by us after the recent happenings. Right? Or, for example, when it comes to GS3, right? When I look upon, let's say, I look upon tech, I look upon media, right? So you might have heard about a term. Let me tell you, if you have not heard about this, let me tell you this. You might have seen in the Hindu newspaper, there was an article upon that was factoid. If any one of you knows what is factoid, please do tell me. Because you could use this article, the Hindu article, in this. What is factoid? What is factoid? Factoid is actually an unreliable information, an information which cannot be verified, but it is repeated so often that it actually becomes a fact. It appears like a truth. And that is what you could come up in this essay, because you could highlight that is fake news. You could highlight what is paid news. You could do that. You could do that. You could pick up those examples to brainstorm, to train your mind that how I would go forward with this essay. Because these are the examples. Let me tell you, you can go across the philosophers. For example, this essay paper, yes, it is composed of philosophical thoughts. Yes, it is composed of so many sociological theories as well. But let me tell you, the essay paper is for a GS student. Don't be threatened, don't be frightened if you do not have any humanities optional subject, so that I would be left behind. I do not have knowledge. I do not know about the philosophers or the theorists or the thinkers when it comes out to these quotes. No problem at all. You just need to think what a GS, a common student, would think like. And that is exactly the mindset the UPSC wants to. For example, my own optional subject was a science background subject, electrical engineering. Would you believe that I hail from IIT Delhi? So I do not have any background for these philosophers, for these thinkers. Yet I got one of the highest marks. And those repeatedly again. How? Because think clearly. Think very clearly about the topic. Think very clearly about the topic, what it says. And if you want to really understand that, browse it through GS. Okay. So how I would start? How I would start for my essay? For for that, you need to give any starting. For example, you can start with the data. You could start with a fact. You could start with the recent news, which is very much relevant, or you could start with anecdote also, right? You could do that also, or you could also do fiction. Let me tell you, talking to so many students, talking to so many candidates who have written these papers, you can start with either of them, provided it should be very relevant and it should be very catchy. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. For example, you are watching this session. If I do not talk any relevant thing in the very beginning, you will lose interest. That's I am here for the essay. What you are teaching me here? This is not relevant. So at the very start, be very conscious. Be very conscious that what you are writing here. Choose your tools, to choose your weapons very, very precisely. And that is exactly what is going to give you the checker's interest for the rest of your paper. Because it should not be a boredom. Let me tell you, the checker is checking more than 100 copies. You need to give him or her something that they should actually read your paper and not just browse over it. Fine. So choose any of it. For example, if I would choose here, let me give you some examples of it. For example, you could choose the Nelson Mandela story. You could choose that also. Nelson Mandela story. That is the fight against apartheid. That is the fight against apartheid system. And you could choose that also. You could just write a small story related to that. A small story related to that to start up your essay. Or you could also choose Mahatma Gandhi's. Mahatma Gandhi's, that is, he whole of his life he vouched for satyagraha. Satyagraha. That is, truth knows no color. Let me tell you, if you haven't heard of the Mahatma Gandhi's Rajkot story, you could use it. You could use it, Rajkot story. That when he was asked, he was invited by the Diwan of Rajkot, that was a princely state then, to solve their problems there because they were having some problems, some issues with the British. And when Gandhiji went there and understood all the scenario, it required Gandhiji to actually cooperate with the British. But you know that he vouched for non-cooperation. He vouched for civil disobedience. And that is exactly where he said that I'm going back. I will not cooperate with British because that is against my truth. Truth knows no color. Same option Nelson Mandela also got when he was fighting against apartheid in South Africa. He spent more than 20 years in jail. Can you believe it? More than 20 years in jail to fight against this racism in South Africa. Again, truth knows no color. No color at all. No color at all. Fine. So you can start any of these. You can start with any of these. Okay. So I'm giving you some real time stories. Actually, these stories should raise goosebumps inside you. That this is a topic, truth knows no color. Oh wow, what the candidate has written here. So your story should be very much relevant and should clearly, crystal clearly say what is exactly the topic here. What is exactly the topic here? Okay. So once you start and spend your roughly two paragraphs here, two paragraphs here. So after that, so first two paragraphs would be any of it. You could use a data, fact, recent news, any story, any fiction. Okay. After that, what you'll do? After that. So after that, you could give a short summary of what you understand by the topic. Short summary. Do not write it at the very start. The checker would be very much bored. Write it here, what you understand by the topic, what you understand by truth knows no color. Right here. Explain that here. Explain that here. Use one paragraph. Use one paragraph. And to understand the length of the paragraph, I would give you a scale of it. Your paragraph, the length of the paragraph should be such that you should not be writing more than three paragraphs on a single side of the page and not less than two paragraphs on the single side of the page. That is very much required. So I hope you can adjust your handwriting and understand the scalability, the scale of the paragraph, how you would stretch it across the paper. Fine. And after that, what I will do, then I will start the dimensions. Then you will start the dimensions, which will go for exactly 60% of your essay. Dimensions. From where I would get those dimensions? From my GS knowledge. From a GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, or any sort of current affairs you come across to illustrate your understanding of the topic. For example, if I would just write some dimensions here from GS1, let us pick from history. History, you could give that truth knows no color, and that was what was substantiated in the economic drain theory. Economic drain theory, right? And that was what was exposed by the freedom fighters in front of the people. That was what was exposed. And in fact, rejecting the dominion status, rejecting the dominion status and going for the Purna Swaraj. Purna Swaraj. That was what was truth knows no color. Even if you offer me dominion, even if you offer me a place in the Commonwealth, even if you offer me favorable terms for my freedom, no. I would have it full. I would have it complete independence. Purna Swaraj. Okay? That is what you should have substantiated here. After that, then we go towards, let's say you take up the topic of society. So society is also having these things. Truth knows no color, right? Because there are problems of casteism. There's a problem of racism. Because in these evils of the society, the truth changes color. For example, you also have the problem of inequality, gender inequality. How? Because sati practice was to be done by those who lose their husbands. And that was the truth of that time. That was exactly the truth of that time. If you do not practice sati, you would be ousted by the society, you would be rejected by them. So what you are going to do? What you are going to do? After that, we had the abolition of sati. After that, we have the coming up of equality. So now, whatever is there for men, or let's say for anyone, is same there for other genders as well. So this equality should substantiate that yes, truth knows no color. It would be same across time, across space. Whenever I look back, this truth would actually appear to me as truth of today. That is what you have to substantiate in that, right? And next up is GS2. For example, if I try to pick up any dimension here, in IR, you could pick up polity. I already told you. You could take up, for example, if I also take up any dimension from polity, let's say. So let us take up any interpretation of constitution, right? So if we say here that yes, I have to give something to women, if I have to give some assistance to women, so your 106th Constitution Amendment Act, that is 2023, would substantiate your point that yes, truth knows no color. You were only talking about that yes, we will give assistance to women, we will reserve seats for them, we'll do this, we'll do that. That is the exact truth we are talking about. That is the exact truth. That is the exact socialism model. That is exact equality if you're talking about, because that is equity. That is equity. Right? You could talk about the reservations. You could talk about these things. Right? You could talk about these things in that domain. And in IR, you can pinch upon the foreign policy of India. Foreign policy of India that is moving towards realism. Realism from appeasement. From appeasement. That is what you could have talked. That now, if we are asked to that Donald Trump or any US president threatens us, do this, either if you don't do this, we will block you. If we will have tariffs upon you. Yes, we say, do, go forward. I will not do this. You cannot hold my hand. I will do because I am a sovereign nation. You have to say this. You have to go for this. That we are having foreign policy being realism, based on realism rather than appeasement or even optimism also. So that is the transition India's foreign policy has made across this time. And you should have talked about it because that is really appealing, especially in today's geopolitical scenario. And in this realism, you should have talked about we are member of Quad as well, and we are SU as well, because we are always going for now. That is the middle path. Because this is exactly our truth. We do not change colors. We are with everyone. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we are with everyone. That is exactly what you should have told, right? And after that, when we go for GS3, you could have brought up the dimensions from economy. Economy, what the dimension is, that yes, you should have told that development is the real truth. Growth is not, because growth will change colors. Growth will change colors because sometimes one sector grows because we were a primarily agrarian sector, right? Sometimes your one sector grows, that is your agriculture. Other time your service sector grows. But development is all inclusive growth, all inclusive growth. So pick up those examples which you read in your current affairs to understand that yes, I would have MSME growth, I would have all region growth, my northeastern region will also grow. Try to write about it, because this development is the truth. Growth will change its color because it will come from one section or one sector or one region. So it will keep changing, but development, the idea of development will not change, because it includes all. It includes the development of all. That is what you should have talked about. And regarding media, you could have brought up those points, and so on. The dimensions will get over. Okay, so what after that? Once you have completed your dimensions, what after that? After that, you have to say what are the causes why truth changes its color. So in those causes, you should have talked about the relativity of the knowledge, that people are having relative knowledge of that, right? You should have talked about that. Or you should have talked about that there is difference in interpretation also, because the way we interpret the same set of information, the same set of facts can also be different, and this can falter even the bench of, let's say, more than 7 9 Supreme Court judges across the time as well, because so many decisions have been overturned as well. So you should have talked about that. What are the causes of why the truth changes its color? And finally, when you would go to your conclusion should be very optimistic. It should be forward looking. It should give a grip of reality to the checker. If you talk about many hi-fi things like we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll go give this to the people, no, this will not work. You will get average marks there. So when you conclude, whatever way out you want to give, try to keep it connected to your reality. Reality. Try to keep it connected to the reality. That if Anna Hazare was vouching for anti-corrupt India, he preaches it even today as well. He hails from a village called Ralegan Siddhi, Maharashtra. And whatever principles he gave to us when he was fighting against corruption, the same principles he even transcends across his village as well, across his village men as well. So try to pick up those things. And let me give you one good thing which you can look upon. Try to visit this website often. That is thebetterindia.com. Thebetterindia.com. Because whenever people go to the interview stage of UPSC CSE, this website gives you exactly real stories of how people from India are making our country better, which will help you to write these conclusions in a very effective manner, which will even appeal to your checker as well. Right? So I have tried to give you some sort of a view how you can approach an essay topic, how you can make it appear so many dimensions you can open upon, so that the checker will get to know your interpretation of the topic. One last thing, that person gets more marks in essay, those who give multiple interpretations of the topic. Multiple interpretations. Those who give just one or two or three dimensions, they may write more examples, but they will get less marks as compared to the person who will give multiple interpretations. And lastly, the person who is good in essay will sail through GS. Will sail through GS. So I would like to invite upon Praveen sir, so you can move forward with the rest of the topics.
Thank you so much, sir. And it was really the fantastic inputs. So, guys, here means like you have got the basics for sure of how to write an essay, the intro, main body, conclusion. And yes, one thing that I must re-quote here as what Karan sir stated. The one who is good in essay will for sure sail through JS. For sure will sail through JS. And now, what is actually, or what are those elements that make an essay very wonderful? That is, yes, the multiple aspects, okay, going through the multiple dimensions. So you have heard about or learned about the first one, okay. Now we are going to discuss about the second one, okay, the second topic of our essay here, okay, that is named as the best art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Okay, no battle, no war, but just you have made your enemy to taste the dust. So how to make an enemy done and dusted, right? So this is what the topic is discussing. Okay, the best art of war. Okay, so the best art of war is to subdue your enemy. Okay, the best art of war is what? To subdue your enemy. How? Okay, the supreme art of war, sorry, is to subdue your enemy without fighting. Okay, this is what? The supreme art of war. War is to subdue the enemy without fighting, right? Now, this is something, a quote that has come from Suzu, a Chinese commander. Okay, in his book, he wrote a book that is named as Art of War, around 5th century BCE, what you can say. Okay, so Art of War, where he quoted this line. Okay, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. So let's go ahead with some introduction thing. Obviously, the line itself is introductory in nature. What you need to do is you need to fight a battle. Not exactly all battles are fought on the battleground, but some battles are fought from brain as well. For example, what we could quote here, as we can start with the Treaty of Tilsit. Okay, the Treaty of Tilsit. It was signed exactly in the year 1807. Okay, Treaty of Tilsit. Tilsit now between whom? So it was the French ruler Napoleon, and it was the counterpart, the Russian ruler. His name was Tsar Alexander. So Russia and France. Okay, this is France and this is Russia. Once upon a time, they were quite good friends. But because of the expansionist policies of Napoleon, specifically Napoleon's continental blockade system, literally irritated, literally devastated the Russian ruler. And now he was too much of, frustrated with Napoleon. And hence, as a result, Tsar Alexander tried to part his ways from Napoleon. Okay, what happened next? In 1812, Napoleon decided to attack Russia. Okay, so here happened a war that is also known as Patriotic War. Okay, there happened a war known as what? The Patriotic War. Now, the outcomes of this war. Who won this war? It was Russia, that is basically Tsar Alexander. But you know what actually happened? This battle never took place. And now you would be like, how come that be possible? A battle that never took place, but the war was won by Tsar Alexander, that is basically Russia. So let's go ahead and understand with the fact that is, once again, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. So what actually happened? Okay, Tsar Alexander, Russia, how big Russia is. And the maximum population of Russia resides not on the eastern side, not on the, you can say the western side, but maximum Russian population, or you can say 70% plus of the Russian population resides on the eastern front, right? Hence, as a result, what Tsar Alexander did, he ordered all of his commanders that just do one thing, just vacate the city. Burn all the, what you can say, the cattle you have, all the livestock you have, burn all the cultivation that has happened, burn all the granaries, and just vacate all the cities that are bordering the European region, specifically France and its satellite states. So he just vacated and burned all the cities. What happened at that time? Napoleon, as per the historical records, Napoleon with his grand army of roughly 230,000 soldiers, they went to attack Russia, Tsar Alexander. But the moment they entered Russia, what they found? At the borders of Russia, there was a very small company of soldiers, nearly 30 or 40 or maximum 50 soldiers. 50 soldiers in front of a grand army of 230,000. They didn't even fought. Okay, they just asked the soldiers, Russian soldiers, hey, you move out of the way, get lost, right? And then they started entering the main Russian city. Hence, as a result, what they found? They found that whole city is vacant, totally isolated, just like, COVID period is there. No one is outside into the market. What's going on? Where are the people? And now Napoleon just kept on entering Russia, kept on moving for months and months and months. Whatever the food they brought with themselves, whatever the water they brought with themselves, okay, it was now almost going empty. They were running out with the resources. They thought that they will be going there, having the battle, okay, and then acquiring the city, acquiring the territory, and then food and water is obviously present there, but they found literally nothing. And now it was the time period nearly October. October, that is the winters of Russia. Okay, that means the Russian winters, minus 10 degree, minus 20 degree of the temperature in the mainland Russia, right? Half of the soldiers out of this 230,000, half of the soldiers, either they ran, they died, or even they went mad. After getting totally exhausted, Napoleon ordered his army, let's go back to France. Tsar Alexander is not going to show. And now the soldiers be like, even if Tsar Alexander shows now, we are going to lose. We are not going to win because, we are left with right now only some 20,000 soldiers, right? And then it was the time period for Napoleon to return back. His grand army was now totally gone. It was decimated. But you know what? Once again, the battle never happened. But the war was won by whom? The war was won by Tsar Alexander. He was never into the battle zone. Never. Right? When Napoleon returned back to England, to France, he was a subject of grave criticism. At that time, there was nothing known as social media. These memes thing were not there. Or else Napoleon would have become a subject of big roast and trolling. Right? So this is a kind of an example. If you had it, okay, you would write it, right, for sure. Now, the next big thing. In the very same way, Napoleon versus England, the next, the multifacets, as we already have discussed with Karan sir, that you have to, a very, very good answer, a very good essay. What is that? One, which is going ahead, which is having multiple dimensions, multiple references. Another reference, we can go ahead, okay? It is the battle of words between, once again, Napoleon and the whole of British, the whole of Britain. What happened at that time? British, they started trolling Napoleon, okay, after his lose through the this patriotic war of 1812. Well, they printed some pamphlets quoting that we British, we fight for pride and honor, courage, for prestige. But these French people, very cheap people, right? Very tight-fisted people. What are they fighting for always? They're fighting for money, right? This is what British, they quoted, that French people, not the army or the rulers, they just quoted the term people. They are cheap. As they fight for what? As they fight only for money. But the fight what Britain is going ahead with, the battle what Britain is going ahead with, is the battle of pride, prestige, and honor. Now, Napoleon and the whole of the France was in too much of, means extensive pressure, right? Because of these words. Now they can't go to fight, right? It's the battle of words. But now this time, Napoleon played the game of the hook, right? He played the best cards of diplomacy. Now Napoleon, he wrote some pamphlets. And he wrote there, yes, these British people, they're right. And now people be like, what the hell? Why our ruler is calling British people right? We are fighting for money and they're fighting for pride. Are we cheap? But then comes the next twist. On the other side of the pamphlet, what used to be written? The British people are right on the first side and on the other side. We fight for money, and British, they fight for pride and prestige. Well, that's true. People often fight for what they don't have. And now the game was done. People often fight for what they don't have. So we don't have money and we are fighting for it. And those British people, they don't have pride, prestige, and honor. So they're fighting for honor. Right. So now this is what the references you can keep ahead. See, all of these things, as sir gave you the reference, this betterindia.com. And if you're going ahead with continuous reading, right, world history, geography, economics, polity, science and tech, international relations, obviously you are done with, with your essays as well. All of these information I too didn't add. Right. I got these informations only from where? From reading the general studies subjects only, right? So apart from that, the next big thing that is needed is what? Continuous reading of newspaper, continuous, in flow every day. Make it your religion. Make it part of your religious affair, your religious activity that, okay, I have to read newspaper, daily newspaper, okay, the articles as well as the editorials. And for that, you don't worry. Okay, what we have got in an express analysis class, we have got the Hindu analysis class. Okay, one is done by Angit sir. Okay, the Indian Express one, and another one is done by Soumya Pandey ma'am. Okay, the Hindu analysis, that is, right? So just go ahead, guys. Make it part of your religion. The more and more you read, the more and more knowledge you grab, the more and more marks you will get once you write such things, right? This battle of this treaty of Tilsit, okay, as already mentioned here, okay, right? Apart from that, the Suzu's book, that is The Art of War, and apart from that, yes, this one point, okay, that is the Patriotic War of 1812. These are the best examples, best examples how you can win without fighting. Okay, so the supreme art of war is what? To subdue your enemy without fighting. Now, some other references can be given here as well. Like, for example, presently, India, we versus, okay, let's say we have got this country, Pakistan. We have got this country, Bangladesh. Okay, and we are also fighting with China. See, we are not in a physical war. We are in a tug of war for sure. And we are in the mid of the diplomatic war. What happens? In order to provide befitting reply to China, we know it very well, where we should move. We should move, and we moved just a month back to Philippines, where we had the naval exercise, right? In order to provide befitting reply to these not so good friendlyhood we have got, okay, not so good friendly neighborhood what we have got, okay, that is Pakistan and Bangladesh, okay. What we have done, we have sided ourselves more with Russia, we have sided ourselves more with Ukraine as well, we have sided ourselves more with the Latin American nations. In fact, simply going ahead and enhancing our trade. Today only, this morning, okay, we got this news that Russian Deputy Prime Minister, sorry, has mentioned this, that India has become third largest trading partner of Russia. This is a tight slap to Pakistan and Bangladesh that we are enhancing our economy. Who are we? Fourth largest economy. Who is Pakistan? 40th economy. See, you know what is Pakistan's accounted economy? Accounted, okay? It is roughly going ahead with some $500 billion, roughly, not even 500, less than $500 billion. Well, let's talk about the growth Indian industries is going ahead with. India has just gained nearly $110 billion. Okay, this is what? 110 billion, not million, billion USDs. Okay, this is the data we are going ahead, average data since last 5 years. Okay, on an average, every year, $110 billion we are gaining from where? From this word that is known as remittances. Right? Now, India's own astronaut, Shubhanshu Shukla sir, is leading what? The Axiom 4 mission that is going ahead with the International Space Station. This is a slap to these people. In fact, to this black sheep US, right? So don't tell me the honest story when your own story is censored, right? So these are the features that we can quote, okay? Like we have won the T20 World Cup, we have won the Champions Trophy, and now, there is too much of this controversy going on, too much of public hues and cries, that is a public outrage is going on, that why are we going ahead and playing the cricket match with Pakistan? Is BCCI not patriot? Well, to be very honest, I favor this. Let's play the match and let's thrash them in the cricket ground as well. Ultimately, thrashing them in front of the whole globe. That once again, right here, we are there. Okay, going ahead with the upper hand when it comes to the geopolitics, when it comes to becoming the superpower. So going ahead with sports, going ahead with science and technology, going ahead with economics. Okay, this is where we are providing befitting reply to our enemies, right? So this is the supreme art of war, right? Subduing your enemy without fighting. Now, well, yesterday's news, Varanasi has just right now started, okay, means the project is on, with regard to the ropeway. Okay, ropeway is a thing we have only seen in the hilly stations, in the tourist hotspots, though Varanasi is also a tourist hotspot. And now we are going to have ropeways where in Varanasi, right? Some 1,000 crores we have invested just for the, not 1,000, sorry, some 100 crores we have invested just for some 3.5 kilometers of ropeway. Well, critics might be like, yeah, iski kya zarurat thi? What was the need of this nonsense thing? Okay, means like for a 3.5 kilometers of distance, you are just spending some hundreds of crores. Roughly, the data is 700 or 800 crores. This is what a reply, okay, to the underdeveloped economies, to the failed states, which are our enemy. That see, just for a 3.5 kilometers of distance, we can invest hundreds of crores. What about you? Right? So this is the supreme art of war. Not just fighting physically with the weapons, fighting with your own growth and development. Economy, science and technology, politics, society, geopolitical recognition, and India. Okay, means like I'm not trying to show any kind of a partisanship or any kind of the tilt towards any person. Okay, simply what we have got. India, Australia, we go to African continents, we go to European countries. They are appraising us. That how Australian Prime Minister is calling that Prime Minister Modi is a boss. How the Ugandan Prime Minister, President is touching the feet of Mr. Prime Minister. This is where, not trying to represent the political tilt, just a victory. This is the Indian victory, okay? In front of the eyes of these two not so good friends, okay, not so good neighborhood what we have got. Okay, not a friendly neighborhood what we have got, right? So this is what the answer could be. We cannot write, obviously, the direct names. We cannot take political names, religious names, political party names in our essays or even answers. But yes, we can indirectly represent that how the Indian leaders are mentioned as boss by the international communities, okay, and how they have been applauded and praised by the international community and everywhere. We are the host of G20. Can Pakistan host G20? Pakistan is neither part of G20, first of all. We are not part of G7, but since last 5 years, continuously, we are sent the official invitation to G7, right? So this is where the tight slap comes in. And now these are the points that you can represent. And then finally comes the conclusive statement. Okay. So here we have got the conclusion. What is this conclusion? Okay. That yes, once again, you can quote it. All the facts, like the development in science and technology. Okay. Like for example, our Chandrayaan. Okay. What we have done, we have landed on the south side, the south pole of moon. And what we have named it? We have named it as Shiv Shakti. Okay. Not quoting it religiously, but yes, nationally. Shiv Shakti is the name only which can represent India. Now, who are we? When we talk about sports, let's say cricket. Okay. We are having 2 World Cups, right? 2 T20 World Cups. We are having the Champions Trophy, right? So all of these things are tight slapped. Then what do we have? We have further, we talk about the, let's say, economy. So we are the 4th largest. And who is competing with us? The 40th economy of the globe, 40th, right? Okay. And Bangladesh is nowhere in the run as well. So this is where we can conclude. So we have subdued our enemy, okay, not with the fight in the battle zone, right? Yes, we gave the befitting reply, Operation Sindoor. We answered that, listen, we know where is your nuclear facility, your hidden nuclear facility, the Kirana Hills. We targeted there and we returned. And so you have to call your so-called good friends from Turkey, from China, from America to go ahead and send you the proper equipment as well as the aircrafts that can identify the nuclear radiations, the spread of nuclear radiations, right? All of those things was done by Pakistan only. It was not done by us, okay? So this is where we can write this essay that is known as the supreme art of war is what? Simply subduing your enemy without fighting it. So starting with the Treaty of Tilsit of 1807, the Patriotic War of 1812, the Napoleon's reply to British with regard to the statements with the tug of war with regard to the words. And apart from that, India's reply to our not so good friendly neighborhoods. Okay, not so good neighborhood actually. Okay, Pakistan, Bangladesh with economy, sports, science and technology, as well as the international recognitions from G20 to G7. Okay, this is where our achievement is. Okay, we can't write like this, right? He America kya kehta tha, kaun hai tu, like that. What? We can't do that, such a cheap things, right? Okay, but yeah, we can quote such things, right? So guys, here we go. Okay, we shall start with the next essay here, the third one. Thought finds a world and creates one also. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So let's go ahead with the next one. Thought finds world and creates one also. Well, to begin with, I must start with this thing, that is with the intro. If you are a student of political science, sociology, philosophy, public administration, you have heard this word that is known as utopia. What is this utopia? It's not welfare state, it's perfect state. Okay, how do I define utopia? It is a perfect state, right? Now, perfect state as in where everything is good, everyone is rich, everyone is living the life of luxury, there is no problems, okay? This is where utopia is. Someone would have given a thought that, man, why can't we have such a place where everyone is rich and wealthy, where everyone is living the life of luxury, where everyone is having no problem. They're all set and fine, right? The problems, they are once again done and dusted. So there was a person who gave a thought, right? So then he stated this one, that is utopia. Then it was found that, see, this perfect place is not possible. Okay, this perfect place, this perfect state is not possible. Then came this thing, that is welfare state. Welfare state as in, let's provide the best of the resources. We can't go ahead with equality, but let's go ahead with equity. Let's provide them something that is known as justice. That we can't handle, we can't guarantee that nothing wrong will happen. But we can guarantee if something wrong happens, if anything wrong happens, we will justify it, rectify it, and give the justice back to the citizens, right? So then came in the concept of justice. Justice, what type of justice? Justice, it should be political, social, as well as economic, right? Then came in this angle. Now, someone gave it a thought that let's create a political state, first of all. Then someone stated that, okay, how will this state be created? This state will be created only when it is having its own fixed territory, when it will be having its own fixed population. It will be only when it is having its own fixed government. It will be only when it is having its own sovereignty. Right. Today, like for example, you can quote these lines here. Today we can't call Hong Kong, Tibet, or Reunion Islands, okay, as a perfect state, as a state basically. Why? Because they do not have their sovereignty. They have got their population. They have got their territory. They have got their government. Like Tibet has got the TAR region, TAR, Tibet Autonomous Region. There is a local government into it, but it's not having the sovereignty. Same goes ahead with POK. POK is having its own government, its own president, its own prime minister, but it's not sovereign. It's being controlled by the Pakistani government, by the Pakistani state, right? So this is where the line comes in. Okay, what is this? Thought finds world and creates one also. Once again, coming back to the next theory here, okay, that we can quote here. Okay, what's this? So how the thoughts they do create, how the thoughts are coming and how they are creating a new world, like OTT. Okay, for example, OTT. They are different world these days. Social media, they are different world these days. We are busy in creating a life, in creating a society of social media, basically a community of social media. The thing that was started by the man, his name is Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, he wanted to have a conversation, okay, with someone who is not near to him, okay, somewhere, beyond 7 seas. So he created a platform where he can contact Facebook. And then through Facebook, multiple different organizations, multiple different platforms comes into the existence, like Instagram, Snapchat. Okay, so they created it, right? Now it is a different world, okay, than OTT. There are too many restrictions when it comes to the TV channels, when it comes to the cinemas. So someone thought that I want to show a content that should be free from any kind of restrictions. So what they created the over-the-top OTT platforms where they can show any type of a content, from vulgar to obscene, from abusive to aggressive, from good romantic to comedy, every type of thing, right? So thoughts they have created. Now it's a different world. It's a different world, right? Social media as well as OTT. Then you can give some other references. Someone gave a thought that why can't we have computers in our day-to-day life assisting us, helping us? Like, for example, you can quote movies. Like we have got a movie, Iron Man. So in Iron Man, there is a character, Tony Stark. So Tony Stark has created an artificial intelligence-enabled chatbot, who can speak, who can work, right? He's not having an actual form, but yes, a program that is known as Jarvis. From Jarvis, we have got an inspiration that is like Alexa. Like in our houses today, we have equipped our houses with Alexa. Now we have to just say, hey, Alexa, switch on the lights. Hey, Alexa, just switch off the fan, right? So Alexa will do this. Like, for example, we have got this Siri with us in our phones. We have got Google with us in our phones. Like if I say, hey, Siri. So Siri has responded, right? So, hey, Siri, how about Alexa?
I'm a big fan of good listeners and helpful beings.
So this is where the artificial intelligence comes in. So I've just asked Siri, what do you know about Alexa? So Siri has responded. It's what? An artificial intelligence, right? So someone created, so a thought, right, that we can create an artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence is a separate world as well. Now, AI and MLs, artificial intelligence and machine learning, data science, it has become a separate field of study, right? How data science has become a separate profession, how artificial intelligence has become a separate profession. So they have given a thought, and now they have created a separate world, right? So this is where the line comes in once again, okay? That is, thought finds the world and creates one also. The thoughts, they do find and they do create the world. Another, okay, as multiple references are needed. So another reference what we can give, okay? Let's say the cooperative societies, right? Like if you are a resident of any mega city or a cosmopolitan or a metro city like Delhi, Bengaluru, Chennai, or Calcutta, or even Ahmedabad, right? So like Delhi NCR region, we are living in Delhi NCR region. So here we have got societies. Okay, different builders, they have created different societies, like my society where I live. Okay, so it's a type of a private state, Private state as in the electricity we do get, it's a private electricity. The water supply we get, it's private water supply. The roads inside the society where, we are living, the parks inside the society, we have got a stadium inside the society, we have got a hospital inside the society, we have got a small shopping mall inside our society, we have got, temples and masjids in our society. Okay, so we have got different parks. We have got one small cricket stadium as well inside the society. We have got multiple gyms inside the society. They have created a private city. So now what you have to do is you just have to buy an apartment in the society. You have bought an apartment, or let's say you have rented an apartment inside the society. Now what you have everything. You have got the gym, you have got the school as well. Just the university is not present. Or else, okay, my kid, if I'm having a kid who wants to study, so even if I don't send my kid throughout his or her life, okay, outside the society, okay, up to the age of 14, 15 years, okay, my kid can go ahead, take the education, okay, because the schools are there inside the society. The nursery schools are there from, pre-nursery to LKG to class 1, 2, 3, 4 till 10th. Till 12th schools are there. Hospital is there. A small shopping mall is there. Cricket stadium is there. Badminton court is there. So my kid, if he or she doesn't even moves out of the society for at least the next 14, 15 years of their life, they don't have any scarcity, right? Their society itself will be their own city where they are residing, right? There are many people in our country, those who have never stepped out of their ancestral town or the village where they are residing. But they are, they have learned, they are learned people, they are educated, and they have got their different skills as well. And now they have, got the opportunity to enter the other areas of the world as well. So this is what those villages, those towns, those cities are the state. But I can create a private state, a private city. This is my thought. So I have had a thought, I have made it, right? So these are the multiple references that I can quote, and these are the very same things that I can conclude. Okay, that here is my conclusion. Just broaden the horizons of your thought. Just go ahead and have that visionary element in your mind, and you will create something which will be followed by the world. You will create a state within a state, and this state of yours that you have created might grow more than the actual state, right? So this is the actual possibility, right, everyone? So I hope this is all clear with regard to these two topics. Okay, and now the fourth topic will be once again back with us, that is Karan Jindal sir. And after that, guys, remember section B when we start. Okay, so I'll come back here once again, and then I will get Soumya Pandey ma'am with us, okay, along with Karan sir. We will be going ahead with the discussion of section B. So Karan sir, please take the stage back again. Thank you so much.
Sir. It was a well explained
Thank you, sir.
section.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for giving your inputs. Right. So we are having the fourth topic. So is that a detailed topic PDF available here?
No, sir. I just
Okay. Okay. So I'll write the topic, right? In the section B, we'll have the detail again, right? Okay, fine. I think the fourth topic is the easiest of all the 8 topics. That is bitter experiences. What is this? The topic name is that Westlands. Yeah, okay. So we have the topic name. It is very easy topic. That is best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. Bitter experiences. So I think every one of us can relate with this. Every one of us can relate with this, I think, right? I think this was the easiest topic across all the 8 topics, and in fact, across both the sections. Fine. And really, when this thing comes to my mind, I think more than 50% of the students who have attempted the paper today would have gone for this topic, right? If I just look upon this, bitter experience, best lessons are learned through those bitter experiences. Can you relate to your journey in UPSC CSE? Isn't it? Like the best lessons of your life you will get from here. One of the best lessons you will get from here, because you are going through a journey which is not that much smooth, because it has so many thorns, it has so many ups and downs here. So yes, these are bitter times. Yes, these are not so comfortable times. So one quote, I think most of the students who prepare for exam, I think they have it in their room. If I would say, let us open this one. Let us open this one. Yeah. Okay. Let me show you. I think especially all people would have heard about this once. Okay. Yeah. What what doesn't what doesn't kill you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? You could have used this quote also to substantiate your point. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Indeed, it does. And this is precisely the point where this essay is getting to you, right? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Okay. So if we see here in this essay topic, best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. So one doubt which comes to students' mind, so do I need to write the name of the person who has given the quote? No, it is not required. You have the quote with you. Even if you don't know the exact words, you can manipulate it to some extent, such that the meaning doesn't get distorted. You should be very much clear with the meaning of it, right? So you can begin with that also. So best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. You can write any of the story, any of the story. I think we can also write. We can write about the COVID-19 experience. If we can start with the, I told you, you have to start with a data point, a fact, a story, a fiction, or even a recent news. You can begin up with that. You can write about the COVID-19. That was a very bitter experience the whole world and even India went through. We went through those times when we didn't know that our health system is in such a bad shape. There are so many huge gaps, but yes, we tried to fill them in. Ayush ministry got a huge prevalence among the people. People came to know about the naturopathy, the Ayurveda, many things, and we even tried to fill in the gaps, fill in the gaps in our health system, right? You can begin with that kind of a story also, or you could begin, because history is, whenever we come to these philosophical topics or any code based topics, history is one thing which tells us many things, right? So here we can also write about, even history. If you see the bitter lesson, we can look upon this, especially from our that is the fight of 1857 revolt. 1857 revolt was a bitter experience, because no one, especially no one from the southern side or even the extreme north of India or other parts of India, came together to fight. And we learned that we can only win if we stand united. If there is no unity in our actions, we will not win over Britain. That is what happened when this Quit India movement happened. You can begin with that kind of story also. You could use that, right? You could use that, or even, or even one more good story is coming to my mind. That is 1991 economic crisis, economic crisis of India, and we learned we learned so many things from there. So many things. It was a bitter, very bitter experience. I think the worst kind of experience India would have at the world level. And after that, what happened? In the 2008 global crisis, global financial crisis, right? Global financial crisis, we were relatively safe. We were relatively safe, right? I think this story can also be brought up. This story can also be brought up, that in the 1991 economic crisis, we suffered at the world level. We suffered and we were humiliated by our policy because of the whatever happened in that situation. But when 2008 global financial crisis happened, we were one of those bright spots in the global economy, and we actually were that. So that is the perspective you are required to bring in about here. That is the perspective you are required. See kids, see students, we are we need to brainstorm. That is where we are able to connect our prelims knowledge which we get every day. When it comes to stitching that together, your flow in essay matters a lot, your information stitching together matters a lot. So best lessons are learned through bitter experiences. So how I would go about it? I would give you my take and you can have yours also, because essay can be written in a number of ways and you know about it, right? So firstly, I'll begin with the story to substantiate my point. Then I will give a very short summary of what I understand by the topic. Again, I would have to give a single example. Let me tell you, don't give multiple stories, only one story here. Only one story. Whatever story comes to you. Even if you want to use fiction also, let me tell you, even if you want to use fiction also, that also suffices, provided it is relevant and it proves your point. Here you will summarize what you think about the topic and what you are going to write about. So how you write it. In this essay, we are going to look upon the bitter experiences which the people get as a result of their social sphere, as a result of their economic activities, as a result of their legal reforms. Many things you can write about, right? Once this is over, then we move on to dimensions. Dimensions you can give, let me see. Dimensions you can give, right? Dimensions you can give here. Dimensions from all parts. There are many. We will discuss about that. But after dimensions, what is important is that there is an antithesis to this topic as well. Can you think about? There is a counter argument as well. And whoever is writing that counter argument will get more marks. Let me tell you this. Whoever is writing that counter argument as well, that person will get more marks. What is the counter argument here? Counter argument is many times these bitter experiences also fail to teach you something, fail to teach you a lesson which you should have while dealing with the situation ahead as well, right? So failures. Let me tell you a big example. If you can point it out, for example, Ahmedabad, Ahmedabad plane crash, Ahmedabad plane crash. You see, even after that incident, that sad incident also, so many instances have come out. It means even that sad incident, even that tragic incident failed to teach the aviation industry a lesson which should have been, in fact, pivotal towards the safety of the passengers. That was not. For example, this you can see. And any other failure, if you see, we can have world wars happened, right? But still, there is so many tension and wars going on. What world wars gave us? Nothing. It was all around destruction. Even the so-called world leaders had to bow down so that we can all build back the better world together. So what are we learning from it? This conflict in the West Asia, this conflict even between Ukraine and Russia. You should point out these things. Bache, you know about these angles. You know about these dimensions. So you need to stitch your thoughts together. And how does that happen, actually, sir? How does that happen? When you practice. When you practice, then you bring out that antithesis, then you bring out those counterpoints as well. Because if you are just verifying, you are just agreeing with the author that the statement is best lessons are learned through bitter experiences, that will not suffice. You have to give an antithesis to it as well. It will fetch you more marks. It will fetch you more marks. Fine. And regarding the state dimensions, okay, I'll give more dimensions here. For example, in history, we can see that was after non-cooperation movement, we learned many lessons. That is what we did in civil disobedience movement. You can give that, or even the Quit India movement. Fine, that is also good. Or even if we go in society, society is bitter lessons. Jo bitter experiences will give you the best lessons. If I look upon any experience at the society level, uh, yeah, I would come out that the Nirbhaya case which happened, right? We immediately went for legal reforms. We immediately went for legal reforms. That was important. That was important. And if you can use a counter argument also after the Nirbhaya case, the Kolkata rape case as well. The Kolkata rape case as well. You can use that point also in the antithesis. I hope you can connect with these dots. Just think. That is what the 15-20 minutes at the start are for. If you start really well, when you think, you can think about multiple examples. And if that golden diamond example comes to your mind, that is where you start the essay, right? And when it comes to GS2, when it comes to GS2, that what should be the best lesson. The bitter experiences was the British, the British reforms, so-called reforms, like Montag Church from reforms, 1919 reforms, or even the 1909 reforms, they were all failure. What we learned, we need a constitution, we need a constitution made by us for us. Because all these reforms coming from the British side, they were just helping in the suppression of Indians. They were not helping us. They were not helping us getting independent, getting freedom from others, right? So you can use these in the GS2, or you can come up with other examples as well. That is your after that, that is transgenders. They got they got their rights restored right after the right to privacy as well, right? That was striking down of section 377 of IPC. You can use that example as well, because they went through so many bitter times, they went through so many bitter experiences, and they learned that yes, and even India also learned that we should be able to not only recognize different genders, but give them what they deserve, what they have naturally. They should have a right to privacy. We should not interfere in that. What the state has to do, what the individuals are doing behind the closed doors. And that is what we learned, right? And even in the IR also, there are so many examples where there are learnings which are to be capitulated. For example, one antithesis is also coming to my mind here. For example, this Myanmar president who won the Nobel Peace Prize award, under her leadership only, the Rohingya crisis happened. Must keep in mind, Rohingya crisis happened, right? So the bitter experiences we can see under the colonization. Under the colonization, India felt humiliated, but we didn't let that happen to the Buddhists, especially coming from Tibet. We lent them, we gave them safe home. We gave them safe house. We gave them that shelter what Dalai Lama and his followers wanted. So even if we went through those bitter times under the British, we didn't let these people taste the same. Yeah, yeah. And you can use the antithesis as well in the Rohingya crisis. You could use a counter argument as well in the Rohingya crisis, that the world never learns. People never learn, right? So on and so forth, you can go on, right? Now, after you are done with the dimensions and the antithesis, what you need to do? Now you need to come up with a dimension that what prevents, what prevents learning? Why the learning doesn't happen? You need to bring out this dimension as well, because there would be people. I already told you, more than 50% of the candidates who have written the exam must have written this essay. I know this because this is a low-lying fruit and they would have picked it up. From the section A, I will pick it up, right? So the people who have brought out this dimension, that what prevents learning, also needs to be told. What prevents learning is that your attitude. Now you have to bring in those terms which you learn from GS4. Bring in those terms. Bring in your content which we have learned in GS4, that syllabus terms. Only those syllabus terms will also suffice. If you have even read the syllabus of GS4, that attitude change doesn't happen. So there are barriers in that leads to your bad socialization, right? Or absence of a guide. Absence of a guide. That is of a mentor in life. That is of a mentor in life. That is why you keep on giving those failed attempts. You keep on failing again and again in any XYZ exam, because you don't have a mentor for you who can guide you, who can correct you, who can fill in those gaps, so that you can learn properly and clear the targets, the goals you have set for yourself. These kind of dimensions, even if you have just written 3 or 4 here, that will suffice. That will suffice. That what prevents learning. And after that, because you have created this dimension, after that, your solution part, which will ultimately culminate in your conclusion as well, it will pick up from there. So what will help you to learn? Presence of a guide, right? You need the socialization practices to improve, right? You need environment. You need environment. which will enable you to learn and apply those learnings in your actions. You need that kind of an environment. It is often said, wherever you will reach in your life, it will be decided not only by yourself, but those 5 people around you. They will help you. They will, along with you, 6 people collectively will decide where you will reach in your life. So that environment is also important. And you can actually bring in that dimension in substantiating the environment example. For example, any species. You know, if you take a species away from its habitat, it will degrade, it will die down. But if you want something that to learn, if that species is able to get through that bitter experience, it will learn with the best lessons, and that is what happens in the succession as well. So you can bring out that also. And finally, when you are concluding, give a very good, a real life example. Real life example. Then only you have to write that story in approximately half paragraph. Half paragraph. When you are concluding, because you can use multiple things here. Let me tell you, you can use multiple things here, right? So you can come up with any sort of story. For example, let me tell the talk of the town today, that is climate change. Climate change, right? For climate change, we can give example of India on one hand, because we had said that we will be able to reduce 1 billion tons of carbon by 2030, which we achieved beforehand. We have already achieved it because we realize what the world is going to be when the climate change doesn't stop. On the other hand, you can bring out the failure of COPs. You can bring out the failure of COPs to implement the Paris Climate Deal. So, with this comparison, with this thesis and antithesis, you can give a real life example, or you can give a real life story also. That will also be suffice, and that is how you will conclude here. So this was one of the, I think, the easiest of all the 8 essays which you could sail through. But remember, give and try to bring out with the multiple dimensions you can. Then only you will get the highest or the maximum marks in the paper. Fine. So after that, we'll begin with the section B. So Praveen sir is going to come back to get you with the first topic, that is section B's first topic. Then Soumya ma'am will come, and finally I'll come at the end to give you inputs about the last topic in the section B as well. Okay, so be here. Yes sir, please come on.
Thank you so much, Karan sir. Once again, it was really wonderful insights as expected for sure. So guys, here we are going on the section B, right? So section B, as in the first topic here that we must discuss here. So as stated by Karan sir, I will just quote it again, that this one particular essay topic, that is the first topic of section section B, I'm going to discuss. And section B, second and third topic will be discussed by Soumya ma'am. And fourth topic, once again, Karan sir will join us. Okay. So here we go. Muddy waters is best cleared by leaving it alone. Okay. So the topic is what? Let me quote it here. Muddy waters are best cleared by leaving it alone. Right. So this is what the concept, what we need to understand, that, what happens if it is a too marshy, muddy water. If you leave it alone, with the passage of time, with some, natural rainwaters, with some groundwater clearance, the mud will automatically drain away and the water will get clear. Okay, this is what the natural phenomena is. But here we have to explain it from the social, political, as well as economic perspective. So from where we can start? Let's say we can go ahead with the introduction with the line. Okay, with the line as in, if I'm having a fever, if I'm having just a viral fever, there is a switch or change in the weather. Generally, it happens, right? Whenever there is switch or change in the weather system, we do feel bit uneasy, a bit discomfort with regard to the physical strength. So you might feel some body pain, body aches, or body harassment kind of a thing, right? So need not always go ahead and take antibiotics. That might provide you more discomfort. It might give you some kind of a, what do you say, let's say some side effects, right? So it's always better to focus on your internal growth. Okay, just leave it. Okay, just go ahead, eat healthy. Okay, drink healthy, consume clean water. Okay, just go ahead with proper sanitation, and your body will by for sure recover. Let's say, for example, another example, what we can quote. Let's say you got some scratch, some small scratch. So rather than just applying any kind of antibiotics over it, okay, you can just leave it like this only. A small scratch I'm talking about for sure, right? So it's not always mandatory to pin the things. If you do so, you might get trouble more, right? So here is what the essence of the topic. Muddy waters are cleared more by leaving it alone, right? Like another example, what we can have. A conflict, like in the main body, what we can come. Let's say, for example, okay, after the intro, when we talk about the main body, you can give the examples of, let's say, Iraq or Afghanistan. These are the two best examples. What has happened? Iraq faced more casualties, more trouble, more disturbances when America intervened in order to curb Iraq or stop Iraq from creating any kind of weapons of mass destruction. Hence, as a result, America faced or suffered losses, as well as globally, America was criticized, and so Iraq got devastated. Same, Afghanistan. After the Russo-Afghan war started, if America and Russia, they both have stayed away from Afghanistan, Afghanistan wouldn't have got too much devastated. Neither America has lost billions of dollars, hundreds of its soldiers, and too much of the global image into the Afghan war. Right? Right? Okay. So in that case, what we need to understand, leave it. You need not always pinch the things. You need not always, go ahead and intervene. Today, Afghanistan is suffering. A terror group known as Taliban emerged because of America's intervention, right? Okay. So now this Taliban has grown so powerful that it is now considered as the government of Afghanistan. And how people are being troubled inside Afghanistan. Women rights, what is this? It's almost gone. There is nothing known as women rights in Afghanistan, right? Same goes ahead with Iraq, and not just Iraq. The whole of Western Asia got devastated because of this American intervention. If they wouldn't have intervened, this thing wouldn't have happened, right? Same goes with, let's say, for example, Crimea and Ukraine. If Russia wouldn't have invaded, wouldn't have intervened, so the European agencies would have been relaxed. The whole European Union would have been relaxed. Russia, which is facing the economic crisis, wouldn't be facing. Same goes with Palestine. If Palestine would have not invaded, if 7th October wouldn't have happened, Palestine wouldn't have, this Hamas organization wouldn't have attacked Israel, then Israel wouldn't have came forward with the counteroffensive measures, and today the city of Gaza is devastated. The areas of West Bank, the people are getting devastated. Why? Only because you tried to clean those things which you shouldn't as of now, which the time is not permitting you, right? So muddy waters are best cleared by leaving it alone. Now, let's say, for example, presently, means let me give you the disclaimer. I'm not calling it as muddy water. Okay. Please don't take it as I'm calling it as muddy water. No, just giving the reference. Right now, since last 3 years, our state of Manipur is facing huge crisis, huge troubles. The local people's life is totally destructed, devastated, and a kind of a dilapidated situation. Crawling economy, crawling market is what we have experienced in our state of Manipur. What has happened? Whenever we try to just incite any kind of peace and tranquility, it incites or sparks more violence. That doesn't mean we are going to sit back and just let the mud clean with the natural phenomena only. No, I'm not saying that. Yes, it's always better to go ahead and wait for the proper time to react. It's not always, that, okay, the iron is hot now and now you might smash the hammer. No, not always. Okay, so this is where the concept comes in. That is, you have to wait for the proper time. You have to go ahead with the proper diplomatic channels rather than always going ahead with the military channels. You have to always go ahead with the dialogue mechanism. Not always going ahead with the dialogue mechanism, but yes, try to go ahead firstly with the dialogue mechanism. The problems with Bangladesh could have been solved. The problems with Nepal could have been solved if we would have gone with the dialogue mechanism. But it was not our fault, obviously. It was this was the fault from the side of Bangladesh and Nepal, where the relations got sour, right? So this is where the muddy waters, they can be cleaned. How? Sometimes, not often, not seldom. Sometimes you have to wait for the proper time. Okay. Now, the next example, like for example, we had this discussion, right? Just a couple of minutes back. If you're feeling ill, it's not always mandatory immediately to take the medicines. That might provide you some negative impact, right? If you have a small scratch, not always mandatory to apply the antibiotics. It might give you some negative impact. So in that very same way, very same way, we have got the next big thing with us. Okay, and what's this? It's about, let's say, economy. So sometimes it happens like in your economy subject, you will learn about this concept, dear money and cheap money. Okay. So what is this concept of dear money and cheap money? It is a monetary policy, a kind of a program that is taken care, okay, by what we say, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, right? So dear money is the type of a policy when RBI sucks the money from the market. And cheap money is a policy when RBI infuses the currency into the market. So it happens whenever we have to target the inflation or any kind of deflation, basically any kind of economic necessity. Okay. So many of the times you might have experienced that RBI has kept itself mute, silent. Why? On what grounds? Once again, on the same grounds that let's wait. It's not always needed. So sometimes they do suck the currency from the market. Sometimes they infuse the money. So sometimes they create the vacuum. Sometimes they create the pressure, right? The push. So it's depending on the time. It depends on the situation. Hence, as a result, okay, RBI sometimes stays silent. Same goes with many of the times the government agencies. Okay, like for example, post operations or post the Pahalgam attack. If it was any other country, after 22nd April, they would have attacked the very next day or a next day maximum within 2 to 3 days, or let's say, okay, in a week, maximum that too. But we waited a bit extended time, a bit more of the time. Government was being criticized badly. Military agencies were being criticized badly that it has been 10 days, 12 days, 15 days. When are you guys going to act? Right? And then suddenly we got to know that we are going to have some military drills. Well, though that was just a kind of a disguise. We being as an imposter in the name of military drills, we drilled the whole Pakistan, right? Okay, in the name of Operation Sindoor. So sometimes it's better to wait. Okay. So in Hindi, we do give this a statement, right? Sabr ka phal meetha hota hai. Okay, if you wait, you'll get some tasty fruit to consume. Right? So this is where the concept is, okay? That is, once again, the line, the muddy waters are best cleared by by leaving it alone. Right, everyone? So this is it with regard to the topics that you must go ahead and now we have already had a very holistic discussion with me and Karan sir with regard to the intro, main body and conclusion. And now it's time for us to call in our Soumya Pandey ma'am, who will be taking guard of the next two topics, that is topic number 2 and 3 of the subject of the section B of our essay paper. So over to Soumya ma'am. I hope I'm audible to you. Ma'am, are you there?
Hello, sir. Yes, I'm there. Absolutely. And yes, I hope I'm visible and audible. Okay. So a very good evening, everyone, and welcome to StudyIQ English. So far, we had these wonderful discussions where we got a wonderful insight into today's paper. Today was the big day indeed, as we had the UPSC 2025 essay mains paper. Now, just as it has been happening since about 2017 onwards, UPSC has showed a clear bent towards philosophy topics in the essay paper. Way more than topics based on static social economic issues, we are seeing philosophical abstract, very, very nebulous kind of topics, which at first glance are very difficult to understand. But then I do hope that my discussion with you here is able to convince you on one thing at least, that apart from whatever we discuss on the two topics here from section B of today's paper, that is, the years teach much which the days never know. The second one we are going to talk about shall be, it is best to see your life as a journey, not as a destination. Shortly, I'm sharing a PPT presentation with you. And through that, I will not only discuss the writing strategy over these topics, but I will also convince you today that writing a philosophy topic is way more easy as compared to writing an essay on issue-based topic. I know it sounds very, very counterintuitive. A lot of people believe that philosophy topics are difficult. Not many candidates want to choose philosophy topics. But then it is actually the philosophy topics which not only are a true test of your imagination, are a true test of your ideas, creativity, but they are much more easy and they are much more scoring. So let's try to see the topics for the day, and post that, let me quickly tell you why do I say that philosophy topics are much easier than issue-based topic themselves. Now, looking at today's paper, one best thing about section B every year since 2017 onwards is the fact that out of the 4 topics in section B, you will find either all 4 or at least 3 that are totally rooted in philosophy topics. Now, something as abstract as joy, happiness, to courage, bravery, to hatred, kindness, all of that. These are human emotions. These are human feelings. No wonder candidates feel how to write any data on this, how to write a proper definition of this. But the very critical thing to remember is that an essay is less about definition and data as much as it is about your feelings, emotions, and creativity. What does even essay writing mean? An essay is all about expressing your honest opinion, your honest feeling about a topic that has been given to you. Because we all have emotions. I know we are living in AI times where there are AI chatbots that do most of our work for us. At the same time, we can't deny that the human quotient within us, the human intelligence is still alive. We think, we have ideas, we have views about various topics, don't we? Then how come when it comes to essay topics, we suddenly feel so confused? The reason is the fear of writing itself. That doesn't allow candidates to feel happy and to feel creative about the topics that they see. What's the solution? Understand that essay is about freedom. Essay is not about writing somebody else's quotation all the time. Essay is not about giving an accurate data or a stat. Neither is an essay correct or wrong. Now, as Karan sir was mentioning, people get marks in essays because they have chosen to freely, confidently express their imagination on the topic, not because they have learnt a definition and copied it here. Let me ask you a more fundamental question before I come back to today's 2025 paper. Do you know the reason why UPSC has changed its pattern of essay paper from 2017 onwards? Why do we see more philosophy topics and much lesser issue-based topics? Do you know any reason behind this? I know a lot of aspirants might say that it is just to make the paper more tough, but that's not the reason. The reason is that UPSC takes your GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, plus your prelims and then an interview in the end. These are enough assessments to judge a candidate's awareness, to judge a candidate's knowledge, to judge the content that they have acquired through books. So your knowledge is being tested all the time. But where is the space to test your creativity, personality, and skill? One could be the case studies in ethics paper, GS paper 4. Yes, the other could be interview, some questions. And majorly it happens to be the essay paper. The reason we have so many philosophy questions today is because the examiners want to see what's your personality like? How do you perceive human emotional intelligence to be? Do you just learn definitions and write them in the papers on climate, on constitution, and on society? Or do you have the vision to actually relate to the topic given to you? Now, today's topic says there is the best, it is best to see life as a journey, not as a destination. This was one topic today from section B. Let me explain a beautiful way to write this. Before that, it is quite repetitive. Back in 2024, we had a very similar topic in UPSC essay. That said, there is no path to happiness because happiness is the path. Don't you think they are very similar? This is one advantage of picking philosophy. Advantage is that many topics keep getting repeated again and again. Now, let me come to the second advantage. Advantage of philosophy is that your hands are not tied. You become a free bird. Write what you feel like. Write what you want to express. And just try to associate with the topic as a human being. Okay, having said that, if you are also among those candidates who struggle to start the essay, who struggle to end the essay. Now, every candidate, I'm sure, in my 10 years of UPSC mentoring, I have seen multiple aspirants coming with the same doubt. Ma'am, the topic is very abstract. First thing is we do not know how to decode it. Second thing is how do we start writing? How do we make sure that our writing is interesting and captivating? What should be the length of my introduction? What should I write in the body of the essay? Should the conclusion be about problems or should it be about solutions? How many data to use? Where to put them? I'm sure you associate with these problems, don't you? Here's the quick solution. Let me give you today a ready-made format of essay writing, philosophy-based essay writing. If you adopt this format, essay writing will become so simple for you, something as easy as filling up the UPSC form or filling up a bank account form. You don't have to think much. You just have to associate with the topic, be creative, feel emotional, and fill up the format that I'm giving you. This, I'm sure, will make your life easy. Let's see what the format is about. Now, let's pick up the topic from section B today. It is best to see our life as a journey rather than as a destination. How do we start an essay writing for philosophy topic? First thing is to understand and decode the topic successfully. See, please understand that philosophy topics do not have a literal meaning. There is no literal meaning behind it, that life is a journey. We are not saying that life means traveling in an airplane or in a train, not like that. There is no literal meaning really. Philosophy topics are all about hidden meaning that we need to decode. Please try to associate with the topic as a human, not as a candidate, as an emotional human. Let the child inside you come alive. Life is not a destination. Every day as we get up in the morning, do we even know how is the day going to be like? Things like accidents, miseries, deaths, happiness, achievements, do they give you a notice and come? They don't. Something as basic as going to write the UPSC exam today. Did you even know how's the paper going to be? Can you predict your result? You cannot. Because we cannot imagine that we know our future and a plan accordingly. That's not going to happen. Realistically talking, every day unfolds as a mystery. So why not stop and enjoy the journey? Why sulk about the destination? Because actually, happiness is unconditional. It is not tied to any condition. Getting a job makes me happy. Earning big money makes me happy. You don't know. There was a candidate last year who was going to join his duty as a civil servant. Unfortunately, he passed away. He could not even formally join that duty. So life is so unpredictable. And we always assume that one day something will happen and that's my destination. Well, no, not really. Life is now, life is this, life is the moment. That's what thinkers like Lord Buddha, Swami Vivekananda, the great Osho, Rabindranath Tagore also said at some point. This is philosophy-based essay. So how do you start? Please find the hidden meaning behind the topic. Read the topic at least 3 times. See, what does it say? Life is not a journey. Life is not a destination. It's purely a journey. Just enjoy the journey. Do the sightseeing. Enjoy every moment. Stop and smell the roses. Please understand that all philosophy topics have a much, much more deeper meaning behind them. In your essay, you have to write that meaning only, not the literal meaning. Now, please stay away from those who tell you that data is mandatory. You need to have some statistics from United Nations or World Health Organization or the Niti Aayog and blah, blah, blah. Yes, you can carry a lot of information from GS paper 1 to 4. You can, but it is not mandatory that you use data or definitions or stats in your essay. Essay has to be a natural flow. Essay is not like a GS paper 1, 2, 3 answer that you give a definition suggested by the World Bank and you get marks. No. Where is originality here? We know that you have knowledge, but do you have imagination? That's what we are trying to see in this paper. So relate with it more to GS paper 4 when it comes to philosophy. It is GS paper 4 topics like values, ethics, morality, probity, honesty that is going to help you perhaps. But for GS paper 1, 2, 3, just you can borrow some facts, but do not make your answer a boring one. Essay cannot be boring. An essay can be anything you like, but it should not be boring. Who will read a boring essay? Now you have to write one essay for about 1,000 to 1,200 words. It's a long essay, right? When I say 1,200 to 1,000 words, don't get scared. There is no watertight limit here. Your essay can be anything from about 950 words to even about 1,150 words. Not a problem at all. Within that, learn to divide your ideas into portions. Every essay, every formal essay has to follow the standard procedure: introduction, body, conclusion. But how do I start writing? The first thing was to decode the topic itself. The hidden meaning behind this topic of today's UPSC would be, if life is not a destination, I am not in a hurry to reach anywhere. I am not missing the bus. My life is now, my life is right now. How I enrich it, how I enjoy it. Now ask somebody who's fighting for life in a ventilator. Ask him or her, how does it feel like watching the rain? Ask a blind person, how does it feel like looking at the rainbow colors? Ask somebody who is experiencing disability, how does it feel to run on a green piece of land, right? So life is in the moment. That's the hidden meaning of the topic. Now let's proceed. Once we know the topic, try to define the topic in your own words. Whatever you understand from this topic, please try to have a very casual, your own definition of that. Now, there is another catch here. Sometimes different students interpret the same topic in a different way, and that's all right. That's completely fine. There is no standard format that UPSC says that you have to interpret one philosophy topic in one particular way. There's no rule like that. You can relate it the way your heart wants. It's totally okay to have different interpretations from your friend or your fellow aspirants. Now that I have understood the topic, I know how to actually define the topic in my own words to relate to it. Think. Every essay begins with rough work. Every essay has to start with rough work. You cannot go and write immediately. Next time you write an essay, write it first in a rough working space. Create a module, introduction, body, conclusion. Try to brainstorm for 10 minutes. Can you think of a real story, a fiction, a movie, a song, a poem, any real life episode, news event, your own experience? Can you think of something that relates to the topic? I'm sure you can think of something either from the real world news events or from your own experience, your family's experience, and then try to see how you relate this with the given topic. Okay, that's the standard format of thinking about the philosophy essay. Now let's come back and see how do we structure, how could we have structured today's topic that life is not a destination. Life is a journey. This on your screen is the standard format I give to my students. I always call it the essay tablet. This is my essay tablet that I give to my students to make them write philosophy topics, to make them enjoy philosophy topics. Now, after taking discussions with me, after having our sessions, at least 90% of those whom I have mentored, they came and told me that, ma'am, philosophy topics are much more easy than issue-based topics. I'm sure you will also feel that after this session. I'm hoping that. If you do let me know. In a philosophy essay, the format is very standard. Introduction will have 3 steps: hook, definition, thread. Come to the body, the second part, the longest part of the essay is the body. This can be about 2 to 3 paragraphs. It can be 4 paras also. This is divided into 3 steps again: DT, TT, CE. The last part, the shortest part of the essay, is the conclusion. In conclusion, we talk about the way ahead, solution. Make sure you always end your essay on a positive note. Nobody likes unhappy endings. We all like happy endings, don't we? Make the conclusion positive, solution-oriented, happy one. Make the introduction attractive. That's why I call my introduction a hook. I think something quite similar was being suggested by Karan sir as well. Hook means you attract your reader. It's a clickbait. It's a clickbait. Your reader should want to read your essay. And how will you create a clickbait? Something that can create emotion is a clickbait. Something that can make you happy, sad, excited, scared, nervous, feel sorry. But it should create some emotion in the reader's mind. Otherwise, it becomes bland. It is spiceless. It's like a GS answer. GS answers are bland. You will get marks for them if they are accurate. But in the essay, sometimes those who write very accurate also don't get marks. But those who write creatively and imaginatively, they definitely get good marks. Make it very spicy. Create an emotion in the mind of the reader. Force the reader to read your essay. Let me teach you how to do that. Whenever you start your essay, philosophy, make sure you start with an interesting clickbait in terms of a story. For example, if in this topic, life is a journey, not a destination, can I not talk about Mahatma Gandhi, the man who came to India in 1915 as a lawyer, was inspired by the apartheid, was inspired by the racism that he saw in South Africa. He saw something similar in India. European high-handedness, British atrocity on Indians, the caste divide and Dalit abuse in India. He left behind his job as a lawyer and came and started completely participating for the freedom struggle to uplift the backward castes and classes in India. At that time, did he know that he will be known as the father of the nation? At that time, did he know that one day he will do a series of revolutions from something as simple as Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, to then the civil disobedient, non-cooperation, quit India, and eventually make the country free? He didn't know that. Because if he had known what his future would be like, would he have been able to do justice to his endeavors, his efforts? No, he wouldn't have. Did Lal Bahadur Shastri know? When he used to swim in the cold water every day to reach his school, did he know that he will become India's Prime Minister? The torch bearer of Green Revolution, White Revolution, make us win the war. Did he know that? He did not know that. Did APJ Abdul Kalam know that he will be the missile man of India? No. They worked on their present. They worked on the journey. The destination was achieved automatically. This is the kind of spirit we have to show in the essay. Now, you have multiple examples from history. You can use any thinker of your choice, any person who inspires you. You can think of your own story sometimes. You can say that you as a UPSC aspirant, you weren't even prepared to write the exam this year. Your family circumstances were not supporting you. But still, you managed to study along with some job to secure your family financially. Many people do that. And you still managed to write the exam. And to your surprise, you unfortunately did not clear the prelims. But was it the end for you? No, it wasn't. Because still it is your journey. Because in this journey, you've learned from your mistakes and you know your destination is not far away. Because once the journey is lived fully, enjoyed fully, the destination is bound to be beautiful. So that's the kind of spirit we need in essay writing. That's called a hook technique. Begin your essay with a hook. As I said, it could be a story of a historical figure. It could be your own experience. It could be the poem written by Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Something inspirational. Sarojini Naidu. Anybody. It could be a movie story. Absolutely, you can write that. But something that relates to the topic and something that's super exciting to read. Now, once your emotional introduction is done, come to the second step. Within the same introduction part, once your hook is done, create a small definition. Try to define the topic in your own words. Now, we do not need Oxford Dictionary definition. We need your definition. For example, I want to say, this topic beautifully suggests how life is not about living for a given target, how life is not about tuning all your efforts to achieve some benefit at the end, but life is about appreciating the very fact that we are alive. For thousands of people who die every day in Israel-Gaza border, for thousands of those who perished during COVID, and for so many who lost their lives in the Air India tragedy, ask them the value of life and they'll tell you. So life is about the moment. Being alive is a God gift. So life is a journey rooted in the moment because happiness is not attached to any condition. This is how you define the topic in your own words. Very simple definition. No need to write high-sounding difficult words. Keep your vocabulary simple. You can use quotation if you remember. If you don't remember, it's fine. Follow it up with a thread. My introduction is about HDT. I told you what is a hook, a story and example. Follow it with a very relaxed, casual definition on the topic, your interpretation of the topic in short. Come up with a thread. A thread is very important. A thread is a link between introduction and the body of the essay. Talk about what your essay is going to now discuss. It's like a roadmap. See, without a map, you will get lost. Similarly, if the reader reads your introduction and there is no roadmap, the reader doesn't know what comes in the body now. End your introduction by saying in one line that this essay or my essay or this ensuing essay is going to talk about how various well-known personalities in India like Gandhi ji or like Swami Vivekanand lived a life where they actually had an enriching journey. Obviously, that is why they were able to achieve a destination that has now made history for our country. Something like that. Okay, so coming back to today's topic again, it is best to see life as a journey, not a destination. This is the perfect example of an introduction. I want to talk about somebody named as Yuichiro Miura. Now, this man was the oldest person to actually climb Mount Everest. He also came back, he scaled down from the Mount Everest in record time. He broke the record of youngsters also. And he was much above 65 years of age. I want to talk about him. So I will say, I felt the beauty of nature and the wonder of the mountains, says Miura. The conditions at times were tough, but I learned so much in my journey. These words were said by Yuichiro Miura, the oldest person to climb and speed scale down from Mount Everest. When people asked him, why did he decide to take this dangerous trip in this old age, when most people are scared to do that, even in their youth? He said, I never bothered about completing my mission. It was not in my mind that I want to climb the Everest and, hoist the flag there or become a celebrity. It was not in his mind. He was only focusing on enjoying every step of it. His incredible success was not because he had the intention clear in mind that I have to reach the Everest. It was because he knew that every step he is taking in this beautiful landscape is full of enthusiasm, excitement, and adventure. These words prove the point that happiness is not an objective. Life is not a destination. It is the very essence of your existence. I am done with my definition. I'm done with my hook. Now the reader would want to read your exciting essay. Now follow it up quickly with a relaxed definition. Like I said here, life is not about a journey. Life is about enjoying every step of it. End it up with a very, very small quotation if you have. Now, there is no need to be worried about quotations. Ideal thing would be before your exams, before your mains exam, you should be prepared with at least 6 to 7 good quotations from either Indian or Western thinkers. GS paper 4 will help you here. In your GS paper 4 ethics syllabus, you have so many quotations that you may have to remember. Use them in your philosophy essay. I have written about Aristotle, again from GS paper 4. Aristotle says happiness is the meaning and the purpose of human life. It is the whole aim and end of human life. Similarly, Rabindranath Tagore also said the same thing, that the simplest things in life are the most extraordinary. That's it. My introduction is done. If you ask me, how long did this take? Including the thread, it took me less than about 250 words. Divide your word limit accordingly. Make sure the body is the lengthiest part of your essay. It could be about 350 to 300 words. The introduction could be about 250 words, and the conclusion has to be very small. It can be finished within 150 to 170 words also. That's it. Now I create a small thread at the end of the introduction. In any formal essay writing, thread has a value. Say that in the upcoming essay, we want to talk about how life can be lived unconditionally in the moment, being thankful and grateful for whatever existence that we have got from universe, from the nature. Radiate that pleasure around you. Do not worry about reaching anywhere. Stop and smell the roses. That's it. Once again, as per Dalai Lama, happiness is not a ready-made thing. It comes from your own actions. That's it. That's the introduction. This is a simple way you can write a philosophy essay. It needs no technicality. It just needs you to relate to the topic on a human level. Proceeding with the introduction, I want to talk about the body of a philosophy-based essay. The body again is very, very easy. Just learn these steps and you are taken care of. We start with a procedure called DDTTCE. Now, what does it even mean? Talking about DD. Now, from your ethics GS paper 4, you have plenty of thinkers that you may have to learn. It could be Rabindranath Tagore, it could be Swami Vivekanand, it could be APJ Abdul Kalam, it could be Mother Teresa. Now, you can obviously also learn about Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, Lord Buddha. Plethora of thinkers are there who have added so much to Indian culture and civilization. Now is the time to use their wisdom. Use it in your body of the essay. DD means detailed definition. A body of the essay is about 350 words. Now is the time to act smart. The topic says life is not a destination. Life is a journey, right? Let's now do a detailed definition of the topic. Pick up every keyword and define it separately. The body should be about 2 steps. Define every keyword separately. Second, link all the keywords together. That's all you have to do. Now, a topic came recently. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Very easy. How will you elaborate the body? Discuss about joy, discuss about gratitude, link them together. Similarly here, define what is a journey, define what is a destination, and then define what is life. Link it up together. Do you need any formal definition? No, you just need to express what you feel about these things. Everybody has emotions. What's the problem in writing them down? Enjoy that freedom of essay writing. It's the most free space in UPSC exam, by the way. Now define the key points. What is life? Life, the existence itself. It's a mystery, but it's also an opportunity for a human who's blessed with so many faculties by God, by nature, to explore new dimensions. Today also we are behind, exploring the oceans, the space, the human body itself. Now that's life. When we know that life is actually shrouded in mystery, it has an element of unpredictability, then why do we always keep creating targets? And why do we always feel heartbroken once they are not achieved? The target should be every moment spent usefully, every moment spent in the duty of others, every moment spent in gratitude and happiness. That's the target. And that's the journey also. Define all these keywords separately in detail. An ideal situation would be 4 lines per keyword. Now link them together in 3 lines. That's it. You will be surprised to know within 150 words, you will have finished your DD step. After DD comes another step, very interesting, called T1, T2. I call that TT. Thinker 1, Thinker 2. Pick up any 2 thinkers of your choice. My favorite is Mahatma Gandhi. Why? Because he has a holistic range of ideas about so many philosophical issues. Suppose if I take Mahatma Gandhi, I want to write about how Mahatma Gandhi viewed life as a journey. Now link the topic to the idea of thinkers one by one. 2 ways in which your thinker number 1 has spoken about the topic. He relates to the topic. 2 ways in which your thinker number 2 relates to the topic. For example, if I take Lord Buddha spoke about the Ashtangika Marg, the 8-fold marg to human happiness, 8-fold path, in which life is not about acquiring constant karma. I want money, I want pleasure, I want materialistic satisfaction. Life is not that. For Buddha, life was all about not trying to conquer anything, trying to surrender completely. That meditative peace that comes from being in the moment itself. No wonder he achieved nirvana at the age of 30. That's too young, even younger actually. So that's what is the 8-fold mark. No extreme emotion, no extreme passion like anger, hatred, or jealousy, which today people are experiencing. We have to get devoid of that. We need to live in the happiness and satisfaction of whatever we have already. Talk about that. Talk 2 ways in which Buddhaji said life is a journey. 1, Buddhaji used to roam from one place to another. He used to live a nomadic life. He was a prince, Prince Siddhartha. If he wanted, he would have had a very royal, luxurious life, wouldn't he? But he didn't do that, no. For him, life was not a destination, that I want to conquer one more kingdom. He did not have that expansionist policies like today countries like China, Israel, and US are talking about. He had the kind of ideology where, for him, he abdicated. He left behind all the material pleasures and just disappeared. Where? Disappeared to find the light to the world. He was roaming from one place to another, giving sermons, talking to people, sharing their ideas. He never stopped at one place because for him there was no destination. Where would he go? For him, life was constant journey. Keep traveling, keep spreading good words, keep traveling, keep enlightening people. That's the way Buddha proved that life is a journey. Next, come to your other thinker. Suppose if I talk about Vivekanandji. Vivekanandji said life is the best when it is lost in serving others. So where is the destination here? He also said get lost. Get lost forever in helping other people. Do not try to find anything. You will never get anything. Be lost. Enjoy. No matter which path you take, every path goes to some destination. There is no destination. Destination is a chimera. It's a very good word. You can use it. Destination is a chimera. Destination is a mirage, like in a desert. You know what happens in a desert, right? You can use that example. People have illusions. They feel that there is a water body. They keep running behind that, only to find that there was no water body. It was some kind of a light effect. It was delusionary. Life is like that. Life is a mirage. It's a chimera. You feel that something you will find like a treasure or huge success or huge fame, but it's not important. It's not necessary that makes you happy. So don't find that. Your blessing is your moment. If this moment is laid well, the future will also go well. Okay, so you can talk about 2 thinkers, talk about 2 points each thinker. That's all you need to do. Now, the last step of the body. Let's relate to the current topic. Life is a journey, not a destination. Last step, I call it CE, current example. Talk about how today's world 2025 lacks that. How the topic is out of place with regards to the current day world order. 25% and above young people are experiencing clinically serious mental disorders, suicide, anxiety, depressions, psychosis. That's the reality of modern day life. Why? Because people are running behind material pleasure, social media validation, isolation, individual achievement, that egoism has become on another level. No wonder we are an unhappy population now. Look at countries like Bhutan, who still chase the gross national happiness, not the gross domestic product. They are happier, much more happy. So therefore, something like that you can say. How in today's world, the topic is not being applied. The lesson of the topic is not being applied. You can say how we define our life by our tomorrow. We think of our retirement while we are still young and we can do so much. We always say that we are chasing money or success because we want social validation. But is that life? No, because we don't know whether we will live another day. So therefore, live in the moment. Be happy in the moment. Chase momentary happiness and future happiness will come automatically. You can write about that. That how youngsters and how today's people can actually learn from the lesson of the topic. That's a beautiful way of ending your body. Now that the body of the essay is done, come to the last part, conclusion. The topic of 2025 today says life is a journey, not a destination. Well, yes, let's conclude by saying that in what ways can we learn this and in what ways can we follow this mindfulness and happiness? Conclusion should always end on a happy note, on a positive note. Make sure your conclusion is not negative. Make sure your conclusion is not about problems, because somebody who always talks about problems is a problem oriented person. We need a candidate who is very optimistic, who also knows how to bring in solutions. So be an optimistic person here. In the conclusion, talk about optimism. That how do we learn this art of living unconditionally, mindfully, happy in the moment? Now here, before you end, you can also introduce a real life example. That's going to be wonderful. Let's say we talk about Sunita Williams, who was caught up in space for a much longer period than what she was prepared for. She said that in the end, she was getting a little desperate. She felt that her body is aging faster, she's changing, she's losing that neuromuscular strength. It was at that point of time that she thought of Bhagavad Gita. She thought of Indian philosophy. She thought of meditating that could keep her galvanized. Because she then realized, I may not reach back to my planet. But right now, this is the life in which I am alive. I am in human form. So let me celebrate that. And she chose to be in the moment. She lived every day in the moment. And today she's back here making history again. So you can talk about that. You can talk about somebody like Mark Beaumont, the man who made the Guinness World Book of Record at the age of, quite a middle-aged man. In just 80 days, he completely circumnavigated the whole world. How did he do that? Because he never thought that he could do it. He did it because he was lost in the pleasure of traveling. He found success inevitable. So that's how you end your essay. Trust me, philosophical topics are much easier. Now just 5 more minutes I need from you to quickly discuss the second topic from section B, again philosophy. The years teach much which days can never teach. Okay, so years teach much which days can never know. This is again today's topic. A lot of people are asking, what if I don't know who gave this quotation? I would say you are lucky if you don't know. Because for those who knew in 2021 that the topic said from 2021 UPSC essay, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Those who knew this is Leonardo da Vinci, they could not be very creative because they kept thinking, I will write according to Leonardo. I will write according to the thinker. They lost it there. But those who did not know did even better because then they could use their own imagination. I always say never use anybody else's essay. Never read any essay book. Never copy anybody's idea because we are unique, each one of us. We are blessed with ideas. Your success in the essay paper is about how much you relate to the topic on your individual emotional level. Remember, this is EI, emotional intelligence, not bookish knowledge. Now, this topic again is very philosophical. It was given by a thinker called Ralph Waldo Emerson. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that we have to decode the topic. It's very easy. Just break the topic down in the keywords, you will understand. The years means a long time. Days means shorter period of time. 365 days make 1 year, right? So years will obviously teach you much, much, much more because you will be more experienced over the years. You would have explored life over the years. 1, 2, or 3 days will not teach you so much because days help us in constructing ourselves. Years help us in achieving ourselves. There is a difference. So again, the topic boils down to the same argument. Can you make a hook here? Can you make an interesting story here? Yes, you can. Let's talk about Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India. When Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel came to join Mahatma Gandhi in the Kheda Satyagraha, across Champaran Satyagraha, across so many other small movements to fight for the rights for poor farmers, nobody knew him. He was not a cult figure. He was a simple man with great ideas. Simple man who believed in Gandhian philosophy of non-violence, helping the poor. He was not Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel that time. He was made Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel by the women of the village because he worked as the elder brother, as the leader. We can talk about him. Any other person whom you find inspirational. We could say that back during the days of Kheda Satyagraha, alongside Gandhi, it was Vallabhbhai Patel who would stay awake all night, distribute water, medicines to the needy, stay with them, stand by them, because they were fighting against too much taxation of the government, too much revenue of the government. He would not sleep until he achieved his dream. But that time, he was not aware that his day-to-day hard work will actually make him the Iron Man of India one day. He didn't know that after independence, he will integrate all the princely states and give us our modern day India now. He didn't know that, right? So he started like that on a very simple journey. And one fine day, once the Satyagraha was successful, the women came and they crowned him, not with the jewelry, but they crowned him with this title, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So that's why everyday effort makes you what you are after so many years. Today, if I go to gym and I start having my various fancy kind of whey proteins, will I have a healthy muscular body tomorrow? I won't have that. Today, I study for 1 week. Will I have a good skill in terms of mathematics or science or English? I won't have. What I do today is minor, but it will have a cumulative effect on me years later. That's how you interpret the topic. So ultimately, if we decode the topic, the biggest hidden meaning is the art of patience. Act with patience. Hard work in the current moment. Discipline and routine matters in life a lot. Last but not the least, do not try to win the battle. Try to win the war. Okay? When Ashoka, the great king Ashoka, used to fight so many battles to expand the kingdom, his kingdom, a lot of people would say that Ashoka is always fighting war. He's a very ruthless and a cruel king. Then what happened? 261 BC, long back, the Kalinga War happened. We know what happened in Kalinga War. Tons of bloodshed. It was very brutal, gruesome. But after that, Ashoka won the real war. He won the war against himself. He stopped being brutal. He stopped killing people. He took up to Buddhism because he realized that by killing people and conquering lands, he is not becoming the king. He wanted to really be a paternal king, like a father to people. And that was not possible by killing people and exterminating them. He was unhappy. And then he won over himself. Now that was winning the war. Because you can win battles with outsiders, but the war you need to win with yourself. And that doesn't come in one day. It comes with each and every day effort. You can start writing about yourself, how everyday preparation led you to success in an exam. You could write about a runner like Hima Das, who used to practice with torn slippers and torn shoes. She was very poor. She didn't have any money to buy good quality standard shoes to run. But she made India proud, well, didn't she? She did. Similarly, Lal Bahadur Shastri. Similarly, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, who would study under a road lamp. Who knew that this child who is studying under the road lamp will actually lead to transforming Indian society by making Indian society clean of things like child marriage and the problem against women. So you see, that's how it is. Every brick doesn't count, but when the bricks pile up, the building counts. That's the message of the essay. Create a beautiful hook here. Come to the body. In the body, again, as I said, please talk about at least two thinkers, T1 and T2. Before your exam, be prepared. Learn at least 4 quotations per thinker. I think Mahatma Gandhi is a very universal choice because, as I said, he has a wide diversity, huge range of ideas. The second one could be anybody you appreciate, you admire. It could be a contemporary leader also, no problem. Talk about how in 2 ways the thinker relates to the topic. That's very important. Then come to the current relevance, current example. How in today's world we need to learn this lesson of discipline, routine, and patience. No impatience. We need to have patience. Whether it's UPSC exam, whether it's good health, whether it's cutting down on carbon dioxide emissions. Even India has a broad target of 2030, bringing down carbon footprint by 33%. But can it happen in 1 or 2 days? No. It's an effort that needs years to happen. Only then will results come. Now, just look at the recent example. India has really done very well when it comes to conservation of wildlife. It wasn't an effort of one day, it's an effort of decades. Today, Kerala has become 100% digitally literate. It's not an effort of 2 days. It's an effort of years of planning, education, campaigns, and mobilization of the local people. You see, every achievement that we tout today has a history. We learn from history. We are made up of history. Our present was our history once. That's what you need to write. And then conclude on a beautiful positive note by saying that how the art of cultivating patience, a very, very inspired, motivated mental state, a daily routine, hard work, and consistency in life can lead to a better future. So don't go by what, loss you had on a very small scale today or tomorrow. Just think of what you've gained, because time is the real test of, what people become at the end, whether it's a country or whether it's a human being. It's always an effort over the years. So that's it from my side. And these are the two very interesting philosophy topics that we discussed. Should you want to write them down, you can, and you can obviously share in the comment box with us. That will be wonderful. So I hope the exam went well. And this is from my side on the philosophy-based essay. If you practice this format, I assure you that you will start enjoying philosophy topics more than issue-based topics, that's for sure. And that's also what UPSC demands right now. So thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. So that is it from the ma'am side, and she gave quite many inputs to you, which are quite handy for your preparation ahead. And here we are, section B, the last topic. And I think, to the best of my knowledge, I think very less individuals would have opted for this topic, but nonetheless, this can be a topic in the next exam as well, or related exam as well. So, topic is contentment is natural wealth, luxury is artificial poverty. You will say, sir, this is so much gyan in this, that luxury is artificial and contentment is natural. Yes. So the thing which is asked here is you should embrace simplicity rather than running for the leisure, for the luxury, for these kind of things. You should not run for. You should vouch for simplicity, and that is what this asset topic is talking about. So here you can come up with some dimensions. You can brainstorm. For example, let me begin. Let me show you some insights here. So we are to write about simplicity. We are to write about satisfaction in life. That is the idea. That is the idea here. And I would go for this as my main thesis topic, right? Because this is a very strong thesis, very strong thesis. But you can counter this also. And when you counter this, you bring in the other dimension of the topic for which extra marks would be given to you. I'm talking this out of experience, that if you go for the antithesis as well, you will be given extra marks as well, right? So just try to open multiple dimensions as you can. Okay. So try to brainstorm. When I talk about simplicity, you can come up with the father of the nation, that is Gandhiji, that he vouched for khadi even when the polyester, the textile, these things were bringing in and they were expanding large and around, right? So you can talk about him, you can start with him, you can start about his simple life all throughout. Or in fact, if you see here, you can also talk about the life of Abraham Lincoln. You can talk about him, how he embraced simplicity, how he embraced, he was quite satisfied in whatever he was doing. And he kept on doing those simple things until he became the president of US. So you can talk about these things. And one of the things which I was talking about earlier, that you could start with fiction also. And many students would be looking further, that they want to ask, sir, how to write fiction. Just a very small example for you to see how fiction is written. You can see here. For this topic, I can write in a small village nestled in the hills of ancient India. So try to bring out that element of dramatism. You have to be like you are a playwright here. You have to assume yourself to be if you're going for fiction, right? A weaver named Kavi lived simple life. His days were spent crafting vibrant fabrics on a handloom. Right. His evenings filled with laughter and stories shared with his family under a modest roof. So till this point, you are giving an idea that he is a very simple man and he enjoys whatever he has. Kavi owned little, yet his heart was full. His contentment was his wealth. One day, a merchant from a bustling city offered him a chance to trade his loom for a life of luxury, silken robes, a grand house, and endless feasts. Kavi declined, saying, "My loom weaves peace, your gold buys only burden." So, this up till this point, if a checker is going through your paper and in the very start he or she encounters this, they will be very much interested to read further that you have caught the gist of the topic. And after that, his choice puzzled the merchant but resonated with the timeless wisdom that is exactly the theme of your topic. And if you can write this much, like this is like one paragraph, and this would suffice. After that, you can talk about whatever I say to you again and again. Try to bring out a short summary of what is going to happen next in the essay. And you can talk about those dimensions. You can say these dimensions here, right? And regarding the brainstorming part, so when I talk about simplicity, I talk about contentment, right? So see here, when I talk about these things, you can give examples from various fields. For example, if I go with history, you can talk about Gandhiji, you can talk about uh, rural India, the stories from there, you can talk it about. You can talk about any personality as well, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, you can talk about these things. Then when I go for society, you must talk about the concept of village republic, or what I can say is reverse Sanskritization. Reverse Sanskritization, which is very popular these days. If you see, many AIMS doctors from Delhi, they are going back to hills. They want to go back. They want to move away from the Delhi pollution. From the Delhi pollution, away from that. That is exactly the reverse Sanskritization which is happening after the westernization, which has happened for decades and still going on. So try to bring in those elements. And when we move further, you can have in the polity also. When we talk about simplicity, we talk about simple interpretations. We talk about contentment, that is, you can bring in the idea of basic structure. Basic structure. Because here, if we see the luxury or the complexity, because you have to bring in those interpretations. The complexity would be reading the multiple interpretation, and the simplicity would be bringing out a simple idea that there is something very basic to the constitution which you cannot violate, so try to bring out those ideas. And after that, you can have the example of IR as well, because in IR, if we go for that, I should side with a party which is having maximum wealth, like US, like Russia, like so on and so forth. But we are again sticking to our contentment, that this idea of NAM, this idea of a middle path, even preached by Gautam Buddha, is what will give me, relief. It is what will give me salvation, is what will actually drive me away from my Trishna, right? So try to bring in those elements. This will help you immensely in writing this down. And again, from the economic point of view, if we go for the economic point of view, right? A nation can be called a strong economy not only when it is actually having enormous growth. That is very good aspect. Luxury is good, but satisfaction will come when you are able to reduce poverty. And in the recent World Bank report, that is the multidimensional poverty index, we saw how extreme poverty has come down below 5% in India as compared to the last decade. That is what we should be talking about here, right? That is what we should be talking about. And when we talk about even a very small example, right, in case of tech also, when we talk about contentment, right? So in the age of AI, the age of digital era has proven again and again that these days people not only are looking for apps in their phone, they're also looking for apps which are able to count their screen time, because they are feeling so much complexities and difficulties in their life, that 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 even that single app which even counts and measures your screen time, so that now you should shut down your phone. So the satisfaction in going back to those simple things which we were doing before coming of this digital era, right? So you should also bring about the aspect of mental health here, the mental health. That is very important, very, very important, right? These things will help. So this is a thesis point. So the antithesis would be, because this is my topic, my antithesis would be you have to support the luxury also. You have to support the luxury also, that sometimes luxury is also important. For example, I need to, because in antithesis, don't try to equate thesis and antithesis. Try to give just some points that you know that I mentioned. For example, support growth as well, because if there is no growth, no one is going to ask you, will have no voice at the world level, at the international organizations. Secondly, once you achieve luxury, you can redistribute it also. You can redistribute it, right? That is the idea of socialism that we embrace. So you can bring out these elements. You can bring out these elements, that how these are getting distributed across. Fine. And after completing those, when we see that what what actually actually prevents us from attaining contentment, now you have to really bring out those gists which you have talked about in your dimensions. What exactly stops you from going away from luxury, from achieving those satisfaction? That is where that internalization, your value system, your value system, right? Your importance of education, these things will come up. You have to answer this via these dimensions, because in our education system, not only text matters, text is like that luxury, context also matters. And via context, you will bring in the element of moral education, moral values in the education system. And in fact, that is also initiated in our new education policy 2020 as well. So that is how you will actually sprinkle those points across your essay, when you are going to actually find out the problem which is as a hindrance in your path to salvation or contentment. Fine. And along these, give a real time, a practical example. For example, example of Bhutan. You know, Bhutan opted out of motor vehicle agreement, MVA, that was linking Bhutan, Nepal, India, the northeastern India across Myanmar as well. But this country opted out. And you know, this country comes among the top in the global happiness index almost every year. Global happiness index. Try to explain those points there. Try to explain, right? You can also bring out the famous SRK movie Swades as well. So you can have so many examples like the Swadesi movement as well during the British India. That will help you to crack down the essay. So use any quote if you want to use here, any contentment thing you want to use here, you can do it, right? You can bring out the importance of yoga as well, which is going on as a part of happiness program in Delhi schools. Happiness program, right? So you can bring out those things. And I really believe that this is would be the essay that the students would be less opting for, but still you need some dimensions, you need some interpretations that how you should be going about and browsing through this part of the essay as well. Finally, okay, so these discussions which have happened for all the 8 topics, I even saw that many of you were commenting on that key. You are not able to understand some part of it, but you can practice it, and we do it in our batches. This is going on at a daily level. If it, I would like to show you here. If you just go to Study IQ, if you just write Study IQ on Google, under this is the dashboard for any person. There you go to UPSC English, and you have all those programs which can suit your requirements, particularly the resolution which is completing end to end of your preparation. This is the resolution. And in this resolution, if I go, you have all those longevity plans up to 3 years, up to 2.5 years, and even up to 1.5 years also, that you can see. And among these, if you check out, these are the deliverables, these are the offerings of the plan. Here you have the test series, the daily answer writing, the mentor which is available to you. One of the essays was talking about, when you do not learn from your failures, it is because there is someone, or there's a lack of a person who can actually bring out those learnings for you, right? So these are the things. And also there is scholarship award available under this one, scholarship award. Fine. And if this is not actually the price of this is not the price of it. If I just write, let's say schedule life here, so this will go down to 27,500, 22,999, and 9,999. That is available to you, right? So these essay things, these elements, actually they are, and in fact, 3 topics from these 8 were present in the MRP program. That is the mains residential program, which is already going on. And there we have so many tests, we have so many questions, model questions being given to you, that 3 topics out of these 8, they resonated with that. Fine. And if you want to talk about anything, you want to talk about any feature here, you can message me at my Telegram ID, that is KAIRNZ. KAIRNZ. That is my Telegram ID. You want to talk about any aspect of UPSC preparation, any paper, any question for CSE, be it prelims, be it mains, or even the interview, you can reach out to me at KAIRNZ, because that is my Telegram ID. Fine. And I wish all of you best of luck. And please, please be there for the rest of the GS discussion as well, GS 1, 2, 3, 4, which will take place at the respective times tomorrow as well. Right? So I really want you to be very serious for your future endeavors and take them at the earliest, because a step which is taken early, you will never regret. And for this, you need any guidance, any mentorship, any assistance. We are always there to help you out. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.